The bustling and noisy little port of Ushuaia is the southernmost town in the world. It sits on the edges of the Tierra del Fuego National Park, and many folk come here to hike or bike. But I'm heading due south. I've joined Quark Expeditions for a journey to the Antarctic Peninsula. We sail out of port into the sunset, chugging out through the Beagle Channel. From there, we'll sail due south across the Drake Passage, bound for Antarctica. I'm on board the Professor Moltanovsky. It's a small but sturdy ice-reinforced ship built to withstand the toughest conditions.
This is an ice-strengthened vessel with the ice streak 2 meters below the waterline, so we can push the old ice floe of the medium size, half a meter thick. The navigating staff needs a special training in heavy so-called ice qualification to successfully handle the ship, because the vessel is being operated below 60 degrees latitude, where the polar condition requirements applies.
Yep, 6 miles round.
Unlike most cruise ships, passengers are welcome to spend time on the bridge. The crew explained to us how their state-of-the-art navigation systems help to keep us on a straight course. The Moltanovsky was built as a research ship, but those Russian scientists sure knew how to live well. The cabins are cheerful, they're comfortable, the meals are fantastic, and the daily lectures and films help pass the time at sea. We wake to a world of white. The morning is so still that we can hear the plunk, plink of droplets falling from melting icebergs. Climbing on board the Zodiacs is easy once you've mastered the sailor's grip. The light softens in the few minutes it takes to load the Zodiacs. The brilliant, ozone-depleted glare of the Antarctic midsummer fades into a pastel wash that flatters the rocky contours of distant mountains. This is Antarctica. It's the coldest, it's the driest, and it's the windiest continent on Earth. But that doesn't worry the animals. Thousands of Gentoo penguins make their home here on Petermann Island year-round. They have very strict conservation laws here, and you must keep at least 5 metres or the length of a Zodiac craft away from each penguin. But that's all set and good, because nobody's told the penguins that, and if you stand still long enough, they'll come to you. The Antarctic Peninsula is the home of large colonies of blue-eyed shags. Whew, I didn't know this was a blue movie.
And the object of Quark Expeditions is to go to really exciting wilderness places and to see a lot of really interesting animals in wonderful scenery. And to do it, we have these beautiful ships. This is one of the best places in the world to see birds because there's a lot of upwelling in the sea and there's a colossal amount of plankton, a lot of krill here. And that makes food for little fish and big fish and in turn for birds. So this is the best place in the world to see albatrosses and to see petrels of all kinds, giant petrels, pintados and so on and so on. But also, if you get right down to the peninsula, to the land, to the edge of Antarctica, you've got a tremendous variety of penguins, of seals, and whales as well, especially if you come at the right time of the season.
Most exciting of all are the whales. Roving bands of orcas, gentle fin and humpback whales, whose dorsals bob up and down in fields of drifting ice that crackle as our zodiacs whiz across the surface.
But about 1910, there was a Norwegian company came down here and established this whaling station, and it operated successfully. This building here and the other set of tanks over there were the site of what they called the digesters, the boilers basically, and you can see the boiler tubes in some of these structures here.
There are many opportunities to land, and the lecturers guide us through man-made and natural landscapes.
Here we have a lovely wall of elephant seals, mainly males, but we're also getting a few females. They've all come ashore to go through the molt. So right now they're losing their top layer of epidermis and getting ready to go swimming again to go feed on some more squid.
Landings give you a chance to stretch your legs.
Oh, well, my mother and I were up in Norway, and she was looking at a picture of Amundsen and realized that when she was a little girl, about 6 years old, she had met him. And of course, he was the first person to come to the South Pole. And so at that time, I thought, well, an Antarctic cruise would be very good. So I looked at a lot of the cruises, and I had talked to probably about 4 people who had done a cruise with Quark, and everybody, without exception, had said that they were a very fine company, had excellent lecturers, and that the cruise company to go with to the Antarctic was Quark. I chose the smallest ship because we could get into smaller coves and maybe places where the larger ships couldn't go.
This is really exciting. After a long journey, I'm finally standing on the true Antarctic continent. Ice floes drift past like pleasure craft. On board them are crab-eating seals, sunning themselves on their stomachs and backs, their white flanks gleaming in the pale southern light. I was sneezing down here and I remembered I've got an allergy to feathers. I blame these guys, about 1,500 Gentoo penguins here at Port Lockroy. Port Lockroy used to be a British scientific base.
Now it's a museum and Britain's southernmost post office, so this is where we get to stamp our passports. There are plenty of opportunities to party, even at 60 degrees below. We sail into the misty bays of South Georgia. Only a handful of people live on this island. They tend the resting place of legendary explorer Ernest Shackleton and look after the island's whaling museum.
South Georgia was once the biggest centre of whaling and sealing in the world. It took them less than 200 years to decimate the populations of seals, elephant seals and whales. But now, thankfully, numbers are coming back. And this island is one of the best places in the world to see sub-Antarctic wildlife.
The wildlife on South Georgia attracts enthusiasts from all over the world. Baby fur seals snooze on the shore, waiting for their mothers to return from the sea. Nearby are colonies of king penguins.
My husband and I have been here 4 times already in the south, and since then we have been trying to get to, especially to South Georgia Island, and have been trying on private boats, and that hadn't worked out. Everything has always happened that we couldn't go, and now we are here on the Multanovsky, which is, it's really great.
South Georgia's the final resting place for the legendary explorer Ernest Shackleton. It was here that he finally found help after having been lost in Antarctica with his crew for almost 2 long years. At Stromness, we pick up some explorers who've just retraced Shackleton's desperate climb across these mountains.
Royal expedition, how was it?
It's difficult to feel anything but sheer incredulation, really, at what he did. I mean, I've done the boat journey, which was bad enough, but then having just completed the mountain crossing, it's difficult to see how he could have done the whole lot in such a short space of time. It's just absolutely incredible.
I really don't think you can underestimate the desperation of the circumstances and the fact that Shackleton had 27 men to rescue. The human spirit is an amazing thing. He was an ordinary man, but he achieved an extraordinary task in the survival and rescue of his men.
I just have total admiration because I think they must have been incredibly tough guys.
And explain a little about the botanical work that we'll be doing.
We also pick up a team of naturalists who spent the summer on the island. They become guest lecturers on board and lead a lively debate.
Are having an impact there. No one knows at all. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with, completely with unknowns with all of this. And I think that's as good a reason as any not to even consider culling. We just don't know what we're playing with.
Stanley, the capital of the Falklands, has 2 pubs, a museum, and an interesting collection of whale bones. When you look at a map, the Falklands look like insignificant dots in the South Atlantic. Yet when our driver Sharon collects us at the dock, she explains that the Falkland Islands are actually about the size of Wales. Sharon takes us off-road to Volunteer Point, which is the nesting ground for dozens, make that hundreds of king penguins. Wrinkled chicks poke their beaks out from beneath Dad's feet, while Mum struggles to feed their older, fluffier offspring that are so large that sailors once believed they were a different species. It makes you feel a bit underdressed when you're wearing Wellington boots and everybody else is in full formal attire. Meanwhile, just nearby, the burrowing Magellanic penguins are keeping an eye on their young. There are many other species on the Big Islands, but nothing to compare with the tens of thousands of birds nesting on New Island, home of world-famous naturalist and wildlife painter Ian Strange.
I took this place over in 1971. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. It was a sheep farm then, and the idea was to run it as a wildlife reserve. We've got some pretty big colonies of rockhopper penguins, black-browed albatross, and there must be about 20,000 of those on the island, and gentoo penguin colonies. They're quite substantial. This side of the island, the southern half, which is out my property, is now under a truss which makes sure that it remains a reserve in perpetuity.
The young albatross try out their wings, while nearby the rockhoppers show their affection by grooming each other. The island is an inspiration to bird lovers.
I've really enjoyed the cruise, and our time in the Falkland Islands has been very nice. Stanley was beautiful, very British town, much more than I expected. And the islands are much more vast than I thought.
Saying goodbye is really hard after having spent 3 weeks together, sharing the adventure of a lifetime.
Look after yourself. Yeah, be in touch.